Welcome to InfoHub Recap. We look back at the past week's main issues. In our headlines, major developments slated for Canary in the Deep South come 2019. Integrity Commission to be fully staffed by January of the new year. Government says money spent in border case worth it. Water Street extended and PPPC piloted no confidence motion defeated in the National Assembly. These stories and much more in this week's InfoHub Recap. We begin with news from Monday. Residents of Canary, Deep South in the Upper Taki to Upper Essequibo region as major developments slated for 2019, including an upgrade to the Parabar to Kasikaitu Trail. Renetta LaFleur has our first report.
During a community meeting with the residents, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs, Alfred King, explained that the upgrade of the trail will significantly reduce travel time.
In this year's budget, 2018, we made provision for over $10 million to be spent through community participation. You, the villagers, being involved in trying to cut the trail and fix the road. So I know that is in progress, and so that will complement well the use of the truck.
Ministerial Advisor Mervyn Williams commended the leadership of Canary, which led to it becoming the first hinterland village declared a protected area.
This village decided we need to have transport. This village decided that it is difficult for our children to travel to go and write an exam. This village decided that a tractor going to Letem to haul resupplies for the village takes too long. We must get a truck. And it is you who made those decisions. And your leader, in partnership with your ministry, with your government, that has given life to these things that you want to see happen.
Deputy Commissioner Guyana Protected Areas Commission Denise Fraser was also present at the meeting. Renetta LaFleur for InfoHub.
Still in infrastructure, the East Bank East Coast Road Linkage Project is now one step closer to realization as a 4-lane highway has been proposed by the consultant. Here again is Renetta.
This was revealed on Monday by Senior Highway Engineer at Rights Limited, Rajenja Satwal, during a scoping meeting at the Critchlow Labour College. Satwal explained.
The road is 4-lane road. Main alignment is 4-lane, and the 4 connector is there. One connector is Abibaka, second connector is Hegbos, third connector is Mocha Arcadia, and last one is Great Diamond connector. And the total length of project is around 25 kilometers. And the main alignment is 13.5 kilometers. We propose a 4-lane highways as around its speed. We have design speed of 100 kilometers per hour.
The scoping meeting focused on the environmental impact following construction works on the road. Technical Services Manager at the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, Nigel Erskine, said another meeting will be held to facilitate the public's input.
We are anticipating that the designs for the project would be completed by April next year, and then a few months later, by mid-2019, we will proceed with the construction works. There's another scoping meeting that is planned for next year. I think it's sometime in January. So the public, it's going to be a public consultation.
It was highlighted that the new road will be outfitted with culverts, bridges, intersections, sidewalks, and bicycle lanes. Some participants have urged that waste disposal and damage to properties be taken into consideration during execution. Renetta LaFleur for InfoHub.
Commissioner of the Ghana Lands and Surveys Commission, Trevor Ben, said plans are in place to begin the remapping of the country. More in this report.
We will begin work on this year, starting with Region 1 to remap Region 1. This is coming at a cost of over $200 million.
This was disclosed at the Commission's annual end-of-year press briefing on Monday morning. Ben said the Commission has received estimates for the overall remapping of the country.
Overall, we have estimates ranging from 20 million pounds to do the whole country to $79 million US. Estimates from various suppliers, international suppliers, for the remapping of Guyana.
The Commissioner said the importance of good base maps and general updated maps cannot be overstated. For InfoHub, Anara Khan.
Moving on to Tuesday, at the swearing-in of NDC officials for Regions 2 and 3, Minister Ronald Bulkan reminded of the importance of putting aside politics, owning their roles, and working for the betterment of all within communities. Felicia Valenzuela has the details.
The recently concluded local government elections saw the election being held successively since they were constitutionally due. Minister Bulkan reminded that LGEs were held in 1970, 1994, with the last two 2016 and 2018, signaling the keeping of a promise to ensure the return of local democracy.
It was not a single event that was taking place. What took place on November 12th was actually 670 elections taking place at the same time. Elections were taking place for 80 local democratic organs.
The communities also urged officials not to be partisan, noting it was not about politics but an opportunity to work in the best interest of their communities. Guyana is now in an era of empowerment, he said, and vowed that there will be no more interim management committees.
This system of empowerment will be so entrenched that there is little or no danger that any succeeding administration can come along and seek to take away that power from people, the power to elect your own representatives.
Regions 2's regional chairman, Devendra Ramdat, encouraged NDC officials to ensure all have equal access to services and work to the best of their abilities.
Our local authorities must work and give strong emphasis in the areas of community participation and involvement. We must ensure that we have proper accountability and transparency, that we build public confidence, and that we ensure that projects that are implemented are projects that derives or caters for the needs of our people.
A similar ceremony was later held at the West Demerara Secondary School for newly elected officials of the NDCs in Region 3. The officials take up their post from January 1st, 2019. Reporting for InfoHub, Felicia Valenzuela.
Still in the regions, we tell you that much-needed work on the Supernam River revetment is 40% complete. Details in this Renata LaFleur report.
The revetment works cost $120 million, according to Regional Executive Officer Rupert Hopkinson. $70 million of which was contributed by the Ministry of Public Infrastructure for the revetment and $40 million by the region for the construction of stalls and enhancement works.
The project is expected to be completed in February of next year, all things of course being equal. Not necessarily because we're going further out. We're not taking it at the current revetment. We are going, it's a landing of course, and so we're going further out into the Supernam Creek, so that we can have a sort of wider or bigger boat landing.
Hopkinson also said the area will accommodate up to 40 speedboats.
There's going to be the walkway, the stalls, there's going to be even a waiting area. Somebody's talking about a VIP waiting area. So it's going to be a sort of, unlike now, when passengers come, be them senior executives or who, there is a shaded portion that you can sit and you can wait for the next boat.
Renata LaFleur for InfoHub.
An Arakan reported on Wednesday that Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu toured the office of the Integrity Commission, which is up and running with 50% of its staff, with the expectation of being fully staffed by January 2019.
We have about half the amount of people that we want to actually hire. We still have to hire some more technical people. Budgetary restraint is one reason why we don't have everybody. But we're hoping from January we'll be able to function fully.
That was Chairman of the Integrity Commission, Kumar Dorsami. He said the agency is looking to acquire a full staff complement of 13 people in total. The chairman noted, too, that the commission is looking to employ at least 5 investigators. The building, which is located on Church Street, Sobrianville, Georgetown, houses a conference room, ICT center, and records room. Since being sworn in February 2018, the chairman said approximately 430 public officials have submitted their declarations. He, however, noted that there is still a challenge for persons to comply with the law. During brief remarks, Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu stated an amendment to the integrity law was brought in to provide guideline principles given the importance of the clearing.
So now that has been published, we are hoping that members of the public who hold these offices are going to read these principles and know how important it is for us to re-establish integrity in public life.
The Prime Minister said it is not easy to establish integrity norms in any society, but this is a start for Guyana. For InfoHub, Anara Khan.
A situation analysis of adolescent pregnancy in Guyana was handed over to First Lady Sandra Granger and Minister of Public Health Waldo Lawrence. Delicia Haynes has the details.
The document was compiled through a collaborative effort between the Ministry of Public Health, the United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF, and the United Nations Population Fund UNFPA. The two main objectives were identifying the determining factors of adolescent pregnancy and prioritizing interventions to address same. Minister of Public Health Waldo Lawrence said the document will inform policymakers of their roles in addressing the spiraling issue of adolescent pregnancy.
Today, the launching of this survey, I will say, is timely, particularly since this is a growing global concern, not only for us here, but for our leaders, because this matter is discussed at the very highest level. The focus and theme for this year is precisely a call on health personnel around the world to marshal their energies on this vulnerable group.
Similar sentiments were echoed by First Lady Sandra Granger, who also commended the efforts of the Public Health Ministry and other partnering agencies in reintegrating teenage mothers into society. According to the First Lady, data collected during the compiling of the document can be very useful to all concerned stakeholders.
These facts lead me to believe that the situation analysis being presented here today may be a useful tool in determining how government agencies, the private sector, community, faith-based, and other non-governmental organizations can combine their respective resources and develop the kind of strategies and framework through which their efforts at reducing adolescent pregnancy and empowering our young people to make informed life choices may be achieved.
Findings of the situation analysis indicate that there were higher rates of teenage pregnancies in indigenous communities. Factors related to these high rates include sexual violence, lack of access to comprehensive sex education, and the lack of access to and use of contraceptives, to name a few. For InfoHub, Delicia Haynes.
Still on Wednesday, ranks of the Guyana Police Force, policing groups, and other stakeholders were rewarded for their sterling performances in 2018. More from Paul McAdam.
Addressing the Guyana Police Force's Christmas Awards ceremony at the Tactical Services Unit Drill Square at Ivleary, Commissioner of Police Leslie James, DSM-DSS, said the event was in keeping with a tradition that began in 1999. He noted that it aims to reward ranks and other stakeholders for their exemplary contributions.
These awards, in a general way, seek to build morale, of course, motivation. And I should mention that this year, 2018, we've had our fair share of issues, but through the collective effort, we're able to surmount all of those issues.
The Commissioner also highlighted some of the force's achievements for the past year.
That is 11.7% decrease in occurrences of serious crimes. Serious, minor, and damage accidents, we've seen decrease in all those three categories. Serious accidents, we've had a 20% decrease. Minor accidents, we've had 46%. And damaged accidents, we've had a 26%. Of course, you're quite aware that we've had significant enforcement of categories of offenses.
Awards amounting to $18.6 million were presented to 2,357 ranks, civilians, and groups. Best Cop Detective Sergeant Rodwell Sarabo, in his acceptance speech, thanked his family, senior officers, and fellow ranks for their support.
Don't be afraid to fail big. And don't be afraid to dream big. But remember, dreams without goals are just dreams. And to achieve these goals, you must apply discipline and consistency every day. In other words, if you want something, you have to work very hard to get it.
Paul McAdam for InfoHub.
On Thursday, Stacey Carmichael reported that Guyana's economy continues to grow as the private sector is expressing its confidence in the government and its policies. The latest entrepreneur to commend the administration is General Manager of Guyco Construction Services, Kamal Singh.
In a social media post directed to Minister of Public Telecommunications, Catherine Hughes, the General Manager of Guyco Construction Services, Kamal Singh, shared his view that investors' confidence in Guyana is increasing. He believes that wealth is now being equitably distributed across the country, which will see an increase in businesses. Reference was made to the number of cars being imported and driven on our roadways. The Guyco manager lauded the many housing and infrastructure projects implemented by the coalition government thus far. While he pointed to a number of areas still to see improvement, Singh stated that many of the government's initiatives have proven beneficial in the long term. Cheaper energy was highlighted as one of the areas. However, he said these and other developments cannot happen overnight. He further commended the government for taking steps in the right direction. The Guyco Construction Services executive also noted that as the coalition administration continues to implement its various policies and open the market to foreign investors, many major projects such as a new Demerara Harbour Bridge and an improved transportation network can become reality sooner than anticipated. Only recently, during the 2019 budget debate in the National Assembly, Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Basil Williams said investors are flocking Guyana. He noted too that the Deeds and Commercial Registry has been providing registration for businesses for both local and international investors. Data from the registry has shown that persons have been showing tremendous interest in Guyana. For local companies, applications stand at 418, foreign companies 16, new business names 9,813, while a total of 8,619 business names have thus far been renewed. For InfoHub, Stacey Carmichael.
Thanks, Stacey. In our next report, we hear that Guyanese of every stratum have also registered their support for the coalition government as it prepares to defend its record through debate in the National Assembly against the opposition PPP. Alexis Rodney reports.
Cheryl Sampson, an executive member of the National Congress of Women, presented the successes of women across Guyana as one of the many societal transformations that took shape since the coalition took office. She said the investment in women across the country, despite their political and personal persuasion, is enough to support the government of the day.
In terms of women, we have benefited. We are the economists in our country, in our families. And the fact that we have been able to enjoy a reduction of VAT, we've been able to enjoy a bit of some salary increase, it means that we have a little more money to turn over. The threshold has been raised and so on, so we're benefiting.
The issue with the opposition might very well be fear, President of the United Minibus Association, Ian Andrews, said. That fear, he noted, stems from the PPP not being in the position of controlling the economic transformation that is unfolding.
This passion for power probably is fueled by not being a part of what is supposed to be coming on stream, that is the oil. You know, you're not in the circle to really reap anything that it has to do with oil, so it's a very desperate move.
Coming to the defense of the Guyanese youth was the national chairman of the Guyana Youth and Student Movement, Ryan Belgrave.
Speaking on behalf of all the young people, because as I say, I represent a youth organization, we are confident that the only administration at this time to bring these progress and development needed by young people is the APNU AFC administration.
The parliamentary opposition has moved no confidence in the administration. However, the three-year-old government has been adamant that its work is evidence of continuous development. Reporting for InfoHub, Alexis Rodney.
Minister of Foreign Affairs Carl Guyanese says money spent on legal fees in Guyana's case against Venezuela over Essequibo is worth it. The minister was at the time addressing the media at the end-of-year press briefing. Felicia Valenzuela has that report.
You can't fix it afterwards. You have to be sure that you have the best from the very beginning, and then you can worry afterwards. If you look at the resources at risk, you will see that this is a very, very important issue, and it really doesn't behove us to be spending too much time arguing about 10 cents extra in order to get the legal skills we need.
According to Minister Greenwich, so far government has spent approximately $780 million Guyana dollars in 2018 to cover legal fees in its border controversy case currently before the International Court of Justice. Money spent thus far is from the US $15 million, which was set aside from the US $18 million signing bonus given to the government by ExxonMobil. Minister Greenwich says the ICJ would decide on jurisdiction after February 2019.
The cases before the ICJ, you would have received the reports which have, at this point in time, everything has been done that was supposed to be done, and it is for Venezuela to decide whether it will respond to our memorial, and if it does, it has to do that by the end of April 2019.
Venezuela renewed its claim to two-thirds of Guyana's territory after U.S. oil giant ExxonMobil announced the first of many oil finds in 2015. However, the Foreign Affairs Minister says government has no doubt that the matter will be resolved by the ICJ.
Venezuelans were party to an agreement, namely the 1966 Geneva Agreement, which agreement makes provision for the use of a menu, and from that menu, one of the options is the ICJ. Once that matter has been referred to the ICJ will examine, once it's satisfied itself that it has the authority, and it will make a decision whether or not Venezuela participates. But obviously, they have an interest in Venezuela participating. So it is for them to decide on the consequences of abstaining. For Guyana, our task is to ensure that we make as strong a case as possible.
On the 29th of March 2018, Guyana filed an application against Venezuela before the ICJ concerning the two states' long-standing controversy over the border region. This application was filed after the UN Secretary General decided on the 30th of January 2018 that the matter between Guyana and Venezuela should be submitted to the court. A decision by the ICJ would be the final act in a dispute which has long divided the two neighboring countries. Reporting for InfoHub, Felicia Valenzuela.
The Ministry of Public Infrastructure has announced that there is an extension to Water Street in the city of Georgetown. An official gazette dated November 30, 2018 states that the schedule of the act amended by the addition of the list of public roads appearing under the city of Georgetown now allows for the road, known as Water Street, to commence from Battery Road, where it intersects with Water Street, and extends in a southerly direction to Princess Street for a distance of 1.5 miles or 2.4 kilometers. The order was made by Minister of Public Infrastructure David Patterson, under whose portfolio such an order can be made. On Friday, during the debate on the PPP peddled no-confidence motion against the APNU-AFC coalition administration, Minister of State Joseph Harmon said he has lost respect for a leader of the PPPC following his haphazard arguments to justify his claim of no confidence in the coalition government. Here's that report.
Guyana is now the land of opportunity. And rather than working together with your government, don't try to run us down by all of the crazy statistics given by the leader of the opposition just now. Statistics that cannot be borne out by reality. Minister Jordan has debunked some of those statements you have made in the budget. Actually, my disappointment is, Mr. Speaker, that I had so much of appreciation for the leader of the opposition. But until you spoke here this afternoon, I think you have gone this way.
In addition, the minister says the no-confidence motion brought by the leader of the opposition stems from the embarrassment of having to witness the achievements of the APNU-AFC government in 3 years compared to the degradation of the state by the PPP during their 23 years in office.
What we are talking about here is the national psyche. What we are talking about is what we are calling symbols of nationhood, where our people can go and assemble and watch their flag flown, unfurled. These are the things that we're talking about. This is what we are talking about, confidence in a government. This is why since we came into office, every single year, the number of persons coming from abroad to Guyana is increasing. That's confidence.
Minister Harman also detailed the lack of national pride that was evident when the APNU-AFC administration came to power in May 2015.
I found, Mr. Speaker, I'm ashamed at what our Guyanese citizens had to endure at ports of immigration in the region. Ashamed to be identified in the wider diaspora, instead seeking to pass off as Jamaicans, Trinidadians, and Barbadians. This is what we found. How dare you? Mr. Speaker, our administration ushered in a moral and spiritual revival in this country.
During the debate on the PPP-led no-confidence motion, Minister of State Joseph Harman spoke in defense of the government's track record. Reporting for InfoHub, Felicia Valenzuela.
As the debate heated up, Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Basil Williams reminded the House of the dark days under the opposition PPPC's leadership. Isaiah Braffett has our final report for this week's recap.
The Attorney General was at the time defending the coalition government's track record after a no-confidence motion was brought against them by the opposition PPPC. He reminded of the infamous years in Guyana when death squads committed hundreds of extrajudicial killings of young men.
Black Claw squads, civilian hit squad, which allegedly operated under the direction of some governmental figure. Phantom squad, and a squad which was the product of the merger of the Phantom Squad and an outlaw figure. An outlaw figure to whom the government abdicated its responsibility for the public security of the state. Mr. Speaker, those squads took no prisoners. They constituted themselves as judge, jury, and executioner.
The House was also reminded of the many innocent people who lost their lives by senseless killings under the Jagdeo-led PPP government. Under the PPP government, young people were simply not cared for in their own country, the AG stated.
In that dark age, Mr. Speaker, many young people were stereotyped and dragged before the courts to face trumped-up charges of murder, some with multiple counts. These youths were largely of one ethnicity and were between the ages of 14 to 17. All were committed to stand trial, irrespective of the level and lack of evidence.
The Judiciary AG said was in shambles under the previous administration with lack of independence, which is now restored under the coalition government. In his summation, AG Williams expressed confidence that under the leadership of President David Granger, the country will continue to move forward and outrightly rejected the motion. Isaiah Braffett for InfoHub.
You have been watching InfoHub Recap, where we share the past week's top stories. Goodbye.